Okay, so this would be picking back up where we left off from day 4. This is day 5 of the 30-day project that we're doing for the motion controls of the state machine. And we're going to have this tied in. This is start from scratch, full machine. Basically, you'll be able to start it from the HMI, where HMI system we're going to be using is Factory Talk Studio RSE 7.0. Without further ado, we'll kind of, if you want to go back through what we've done before, I'll have 1 through 4 videos below in the show notes below, but we'll go ahead and carry on to save some time. So in the states, what we want to do is go ahead and add our state tags. Basically, kind of going over the program, we want to go and add the states and the get our tag database in there, right? So real quick, what we'll do is we have our axis in there. We'll go ahead and add our machine, and this will all line out as the further we go into it. And this would be input. So we want to call this is going to be a data type of a dent. The same thing is going to have machine SSL, and then we'll have out. This would be a dent as well. Then we're going to have machine SSL, and then we'll have this array. This would basically be the output array, and what we want to do is make this a dent of 50, so that way we have 49 instances of this. So we have 49 instances we can come in and fill the data in. So now that we have those in place, what we want to do is we want to go ahead and put the HMI status, like where the machine is that we're going to be using. We're going to be doing a graphical layout, like in the state indicator or indicator, multi-state indicator, to let you know where it's where the machine's at that point in time. So we'll go ahead and throw that in there. So machine state, and then we'll call that like the number. And then basically we'll keep that as a dent as well. Then we're going to go ahead and do the HMI machine, and then we're going to go ahead and call this the next state. So actually we'll tie that, keep that kind of tight laced, right? Alright, so we're going to keep that as a dent too, and then we're going to do the same thing for HMI machine previous state. Okay, so now that we have those in place, we have our the inputs we're going to be putting into our state machine. We're going to have basically our outputs that are going to be coming out of our state machine. We have our output array. We have our state number that we're going to be currently in. We're going to have our next state, and we're going to have our previous state. So with that said, we'll go ahead and start the structured text programming for the state logic. This is going to be like a case scenario. So we're going to put case and then what we can do is we'll actually, I think, let's browse the tags, and then we'll grab the state number, and then we'll call that of, and then we'll say, of course, 0 is going to be, let's see, again, this would be browse tags, and this would be the next state equals 1. And then what we can do is we'll have believe, hold on. Why does it want to? Let me see that for just a second. I know I picked that tag. Browse tag and yeah, it should be correct. Should be correct. Oh. Okay, so real quick, what we'll do is we'll come back and we'll copy this and we'll paste it to make it kind of quick. So paste, right? Paste. And then what we'll come back and do is we'll come back and put the next elements in there. Sorry about that. So in this very instance, we'll come back and just throw the and state of, and so if in case of 2, it'll be 3. In case of 3, it'll be 4. In case of 4, it'll be 5. So this kind of carries back over to the basic structure text case scenario that I've done in previous videos. If you haven't seen that one, you can check it out. I'm not going to link it below because this is going to be linked to the show notes below. I have a lot more the prior days that we've been building up to this one. So not to make that too long or whatever. Excuse me. You can get a drink. Okay. And just to pick back up, I'll go ahead and keep pasting. And what we want to do is build this up to the same purpose of having 32 bits. So we'll just keep populating this. So 9, 10, this would be 11. You kind of get the point, right? I mean, I could stop the video and just pick back up, but like I said, I just kind of do this from just fully, so you kind of fully get the whole grasp of it, right? $17, $18. Alright, so this would be 10. This would be 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And you kind of see the pattern here, right? So kind of breaks down to the easier way to understand it. Got a little too quick there. Okay, so this would be 20, 21, 22, so we'll just keep going, and again I know it's kind of just monotonous to keep doing this, and I may in the future few ones, if it gets a little more in depth than this, I may go ahead and just pause the video, come back and talk about it afterwards. But you kind of see, you can see exactly what's happening. Alright, so we'll keep on with this. Okay, so in case of 29, we have 30, and in case of 30, we have 31. And believe it or not, in case of 31, we want to have 0. Alright, so at the very end of this, we know it's a case function, right? So end case, right? So let's just kind of go over this. So if the machine, if the machine state number, right? So the case of whatever the machine number is, if it's a 0, it's going to push a 1 into it for the next state. If it's a 1, it's going to push a 2, and then further on down. So you kind of get the way things are done, right? And what we'll do is we'll kind of line this out a little bit better to keep it more uniform, so it's nice and clean. Okay, so and we'll put a description up here. Case of, and we'll copy this. Case of machine state number, then index the next state, which we'll just grab this next state to indicate what machine state is next. So basically I like to put in a descriptor right here. I like to put in exactly what it does and put in what it's for. And that's just somebody comes behind you, you can kind of tell what's going on. So in the next state, we did that. So in the previous, what we can do is we can copy this. We can come back in the previous. We can basically do this. And what we do is say this. So, and we'll call this, of course we got to change this to previous, right? So we'll come back and change all this. Actually, I want to copy, paste. What? Yeah. So trying to make this as quick as possible. So. No, it's just kind of monotonous, right? that you kind of get the point behind what we're doing. We're kind of just using a case scenario to get previous and next states. We're, like I said, we're approaching that 16-minute mark, so we may go to 18 minutes just to kind of get this finished. And all I'm doing is using Control V. So basically Control Paste. Okay, so in the instance that the machine state, right, the number we want to say, if it's 0, then the previous state was whatever. So we'll probably just chalk this up and say we're not going to use that right now. If it was a 1, then the prior state was a 0. If it was a 2, then the prior state was 1. And then kind of go down the line, right? And we'll just come down and keep doing this until we get to the point where we have finished. So we're just basically using a case scenario to determine what the prior state was. So it's pretty simple, pretty cut and dry. This is a good implementation of a case for structured text. Very simple, very easy to read, helpful, you know. This would be 19, 20, 21. You kind of get the hint about, you know, where we're headed with this. So if it's 31, actually I got off somewhere here. Two, 3, 4. Yeah, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, that's where I got off. So what I'll do is I'll come back and just to end this video. I'll come back and show this, you know, completely cleaned up and finished. But what I'd like to do is, you know, I don't want to take up any more of your time right now and make this any longer than what it should be. When all I'm going to do is sit here and, you know, put a couple numbers in the correct way when I missed a number. So you kind of get the gist of what's going to happen. And like I said, in the next video I'll go back over it just to kind of touch base. But to give an indication of what we're doing, you know, we're using the case scenario to find out our previous state, our next state, and we built our tags. So, you know, basically we built our database for what we're going to be using and build our state machine. And our state machine will be driven within the structured text manner. So, kind of gives you a you know, where we're going to be at on that. And again, I'll come back and I'll fix these and come back and put a description. So we did our next state. Our next state, we're going to fix our previous state, and we put our tags in. So if you look in our tags, we created our machines, sectional state machine, the input, the output, the array. The input is a dent. The second output is the dent. The array that it's going to be referencing is going to be a dent with a array of 50, so a dimension of 50. And then we're going to have the HMI state number. We're going to represent to the HMI is a dent, and the next state and the previous state is going to be a dent as well. So to kind of wrap this up, that kind of breaks down the structure or the hierarchy of our tag structure and the programming for next state, previous state. And I'll go ahead and throw the descriptions in there and fix the previous state, kind of go over it in the next video. But again, I know this kind of ran a couple minutes longer than I kind of projected, so I appreciate your time, appreciate your patience, and we'll pick back up on day 6 and keep at this. And as we get the program developed, we'll do more on the HMI, but until we get the program developed, we'll kind of just stick with the programming. Okay, so again, I'd just like to thank you for your time and thank you for your support.